it's hard to imagine what a crewed mission to Mars will look like. Mm-hmm. So paint that picture.
Yeah, I talked about our architecture review that we have coming up, and in that there's like 7 decisions we have to make that will cascade into like 100 around Mars. And the first is, are you ready to go? And that's a lot of why we're doing things on the lunar surface, because partial gravity will make our systems behave a little bit differently. Zero gravity makes them behave differently. So we need a little bit of runtime on the moon. We also need to understand the effects on the human body of long duration spaceflight. We're doing that right now on Space Station. Frank Rubio just surpassed 365 days, longest U.S. mission. Tremendous. He went up there thinking he was going to stay 6 months, and then he's like, hey, guess what? You get to stay another 6 months. It's been a tremendous sacrifice by Frank and his family. But we learned so much from those long duration missions, because right now with our technology, 6 months to get to Mars, 6 months to get home. And your body goes through so much in that adaptation to gravity. And if you think about it, you go out for 6 months, you get adapted to zero gravity, and then you have to land and operate in a partial gravity environment. And you only have 30 days because you need to get back up to get home. So you want to maximize those 30 days, but that adjustment to gravity is tough. So we need to design our systems to allow the crew to adapt and still get work done. And then we need to put them on a vehicle to come back another 6 months and enter them safely back into Earth. So it's challenges with radiation, galactic cosmic radiation outside of Van Allen belts, very strong effect on the human body. Deterioration of muscle and bone, you have to keep that updated, so you have to exercise all the time. How do we keep food safe for that long? We have a mission right now in Houston where we've locked 4 people in a simulated Mars habitat, and they were locked in with all their food for a year. They can grow stuff, they'll have that opportunity, but we gave them food for a year. So how do we keep that food fresh? How do we have enough water for them? Ironically, if you put water in the food, you can recover water in the food. You don't have to carry as much dedicated water. How do we deal with the carbon dioxide that's built up? How do we generate oxygen? We're trying to get to like 99% oxygen recovery so that we don't have to take all these supplies basically for 13 months of keeping them safe. And you can't take everything down to the surface of Mars at once, so you got to launch stuff in advance and land it on the surface and make sure it lands before you launch the crew, which means your mission starts 7 years before you want to land the crew. So all of that stacks up into what do we have to plan on each of our Artemis missions to be ready to take that step to Mars.